What if you could write things on a page and this piece of paper was like this magical genie in a bottle, and you knew that when you write it, you invite it? And that is this journaling technique that I use every single New Year, and that has always created freaking magic, sometimes to the point where I'm like, how did that happen? Really what you're doing is activating your imagination, and your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imaginary. Hello, welcome back to the Mind School podcast. Happy New Year. If you're an OG and you've listened to this podcast for years, you'll know that this is the time of year where I just froth. And my friend Courtney, if some of you know the Mind School counselor, my support coach inside of my company, she always says to me, babe, that's because you're a Sag rising. And I'm not a big astrology galley, but for the astrology galleys listening, maybe that makes sense to you. Apparently being in Sagittarius season, which is my rising sign, is why I just get so excited about all the visioning and the planning and the family time and the exploration and the supboarding and the surfing and all the cool stuff that happens this time of year. For me, it's always been a really beautiful time. So today I want to dive into what I have been doing every single year for the last, I would say 6 years now, definitely for the last 5. And that is this journaling technique that I use every single New Year, and that has always created freaking magic, sometimes to the point where I'm like, how did that happen? How did that happen? And I learned this from the OG, the GOAT, the number one manifestation coach, I would say, in the world, Bob Proctor. I learned this from him, so I want to give all of the credit where credit's due. He taught me this, but I have used it ever since, and it is absolutely magical. And I'm going to go through exactly how to do it, why to do it, and common mistakes to avoid, so that you can use this really quick, simple, and exciting journaling technique to help you bring all of your goals and dreams from 2025 forward. So before I do, let's dive into a win and a challenge. So what is my win? My win is, I would say my win is just this Christmas season. We are hosting, and it just feels so beautiful. Like even that is something I used to journal about with this particular script. I used to, before we bought our home, I journaled about it for a long time, because when we were looking, we had this set of requirements that were almost, our expectations were high. It was almost like, when I look back, we had champagne taste on a beer budget. We've never really valued having a really, really large mortgage and having to give up our lifestyle and our time to work a job. This is something I've always thought, why do we fall into this trap of working 40, 50, 60-hour weeks at a job we hate to pay for the house that we're never in? I just didn't want that. So anyway, we were like, let's not have a huge mortgage. Let's borrow under what they're giving us. But also we want to be by the beach. We want a pool. We want lots and lots of room. We need heaps of parking space because we entertain. We have friends over. My family are stage 5 clingers, so they'll be over all the time, and I want to host them. But we need to be near the coast because Paul's even got a tattoo to remind him all the time about the importance of the beach. So we needed to be by the coast, and we needed a big house and all the things. And that is exactly what we got. And I journaled about it. So this Christmas season, to have my family over, for us to be spending days in the pool, riding around on our bikes, just spending wholesome time together at our home is my win. And challenge, I can't say that I've got one. I'm that annoying person right now. I can't think of a challenge that's coming up, and that's great. And maybe that's just, a few weeks ago I released a podcast where I was really just crying and sharing how hard the last few months have been. And so it depends what day you get me, especially with this whole fertility journey, which I've been quite open about. Every day is different. It is a roller coaster. I've had my downs, I've had my challenges, but today feels like a very exciting day. And now I want to get into this extremely amazing and incredible scripting technique. So I want to just start with putting an energy and hoping to activate an energy within you. I really want to activate this energy of, what if you could write things on a page, and this piece of paper was like this magical genie in a bottle. What if you could write something down and you knew that when you write it, you invite it? And what if you knew that the more clear you were, the more this genie got excited to bring it to you? And what if you knew that every single thing that you wrote was going to happen? And so you only had, 60 seconds to write everything on a page, or the genie would disappear. And if you were just playing a game like a child, think of it like you're asking Santa for your Christmas presents and you're 5 years old. You want a unicorn, you want a pony, you want all of this magical stuff. And it's happening because you believe in Santa, you believe in miracles. Everything that you're going to write down is going to happen. And so what if you knew that this exercise wasn't just wishful thinking, it was serious business, but with so much fun? And what if you knew that this wasn't wishful thinking, it was actually a process that was going to invite all of the things in that you write down? Would you take it more seriously, and would you have fun doing it? And would you get excited doing it? That's the energy I want you to think about. I went through a season where I was like, oh gosh, I believe it so strongly now. I believe in this process so strongly now that I don't want to write the wrong thing down. Not that there can ever be a wrong thing, but you know what I mean? Like, this is how powerful it is. So I want to share it with you. So we're diving into the process of scripting. And scripting is exactly how it sounds. It is writing a script for your next reality as though it has already happened. So it is literally the practice of writing down your desires, your goals, your dreams in a script as though it has already happened. And so when you are writing as though it's already happened, you're not writing, I really want a 7-figure business. I really want a baby. I really want, a caravan. I really want a troopy. I really want. Want is like lack, and it hasn't arrived yet, and it's not here yet. When you write it as a script that's already happened, you're writing it from the lens of, I'm so happy and grateful now that this has happened. And so why this works is because there's many reasons why this works. But it completely shifts your attention to possibilities, and it gets your creative brain really thinking, especially when you play into the energy of playfulness and having fun with it, especially when you allow yourself, because it's just a game, when you just allow yourself to dream and you allow yourself to just play this game of listing all of these things. Like if there were no problems, no objections, no possible way you could fail, and you were writing this down, it starts to shift your mind into potential and possibilities. And the other thing that it does is it actually engages your subconscious mind. There are so many different reasons for this, but ultimately, when you do this process, and I'll explain the do's and don'ts in a moment, when you do this process, you are activating your subconscious mind for several different reasons. One, your subconscious mind, and why you need to do this is because your subconscious, which is that iceberg part of the brain, I always explain the subconscious mind as the iceberg. We know when we think about the Titanic, but what you remember about the Titanic, or if you know anything about icebergs, you only see the top 10%. What's underneath is the parts you can't see. It's that lurking underneath part, and that's the part that sunk the Titanic. And that's the metaphor I use for our whole life. Your conscious mind, what you're aware of, your willpower, your discipline, your thinking, your conscious thinking brain, that is only responsible for 5 to 10% of our behaviors and therefore our results. A subconscious mind, which is unconscious, it is responsible for 90 to 95% of our behaviors and therefore our results. So it's important that we get our subconscious mind on board in this process. And the reason scripting is so powerful is because the subconscious mind, thinks in pictures and movies. It loves pictures and movies. And so when you write a script, you're giving it an image to hold on to, and it loves images. Let me say to you right now, I want you right now to not think of your car. Don't think of your car. Don't think of your car. What I know that has happened for you right now is that even though I said don't, your brain popped up an image of your car. And what that tells us is the subconscious mind thinks in pictures, but it also cannot conceive of negatives. It doesn't hear the don'ts, the don't wants. It only hears affirmatives. So when you do scripting, you are writing a script for the affirmative. That is what you do want, not what you don't want. This is not a script that says, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm not poor. What does your subconscious mind do then? It hears poor, 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 poor. Right? So what we're doing with scripting is we're putting everything into the affirmative. We're writing it in a movie or a script or images so our subconscious mind can get engaged. And thirdly, our subconscious mind thinks in emotions. Our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. And so we need to, and when we really write the correct goals, and when I say correct goals, I'm saying the ones that make you emotional. When you allow yourself to drop into the emotions of this exercise, now your subconscious mind is extremely activated. Its emotions are activated. It's thinking in pictures. And it's starting to see things in the affirmative. This then becomes a feedback loop, because what then happens after you've done this scripting exercise is that you create a feedback loop, because now it's in your subconscious mind. A thing called your reticular activating system is now going to be on guard. And the reticular activating system, which I call really awesome servant. That's my acronym for the reticular activating system. It's your really awesome servant. And its job is to filter your reality, filter the way you perceive reality to align with what you have told it to look out for, what you have told it is important, what you have told it to focus on. So if you have started to focus your mental energy on the things that you do want to call in, your reticular activating system is now going to filter the world and therefore your reality to align with those things. So you're going to start to see different opportunities. You're going to get a feedback loop that, oh my freaking gosh, this is actually working. So the other thing, and I have sort of already touched on this, but the other reason why this is such a powerful technique is because even though you're writing it as though you're going to write it as though it's already happened, really what you're doing is activating your imagination. You're writing a story, playing it out as though it's already happened, and your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is imaginary. Really let that land. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is just in your imagination. That is why so often people who are having anxiety attacks, what has happened is their imagination has taken them to something that they really don't want to happen, something that they're afraid of. It has taken them to an unwanted outcome, and that has activated a physiological response within the body. The body doesn't know that it has not happened, it is not real, but it acts the same way anyway. So when you start to write the script as though it's already happened using your imagination, your subconscious mind doesn't know that it's not real, and it starts to move as though it's already happened. And like I said, this just creates the most insane feedback loop, which further reinforces new beliefs and helps you to find new opportunities and create new patterns for yourself. So those are all the reasons why I implore you to do this technique as often as you can, but particularly now that it's New Year's. And this is something, like I said, I do this every New Year's, and it's freaking wild to read back every single year. So how to script effectively. This is the step-by-step process. First of all, you set the scene. And the scene would be 1 year from now, because this is a New Year's script. And of course you can adapt this anyway, but you're going to set the scene that it is 1 year from now. So the scene is, it is the 31st of January, 2025. It is the 31st of January, 2025. The other thing you're going to do is write in present tense. So present tense is now, it has happened and I am in it and it is happening. And you're also going to use first person perspective, which is I. You're going to, and this is the really, really, really important 3 parts. 1, you need to be specific. The more specific you can be in the nitty-gritty details, the more your subconscious mind is going to cling on to it. And how you can do this really well is to actually activate all your senses. So when I say be specific, be visual. Think about smells, think about feelings, think about sounds, think about what you're going to hear, think about all the different senses that you are hearing within this scene, within this movie, within this script. Really get specific and activate all your senses to help your subconscious mind cling onto it and to make it more emotional. That's the next part. So specificity and adding the senses. And the next part is emotional. See if you can get yourself really freaking emotional. I do this. Often I write a script and then I visualize, and that's something I'll share in a moment. I notice it's usually very specific things that hit an emotional chord. And whenever I hit that emotional chord, I know I'm onto something and it's there for a reason, like it's on my heart and it's this real truth. It feels like truth because it gets me so emotional, goosebumps, tears, all of that kind of stuff. So as you can imagine, I've had a lot of crying visualizations where I imagine holding my baby, where I imagine telling Paul that I'm pregnant, all of these things that help to activate the emotions. And because I've already seen it so many times in my mind's eye, I know that it's now just a case of waiting for it to all fall into place. The other thing is that you're going to be focusing on outcomes, not obstacles. So you're writing the script with all of the outcomes that you have created, not the obstacles in your way. Again, because this is just for you to focus on the affirmative, the positive, and the outcomes. So here is an example of how exactly I start this script for New Year's. I will start with, Today is December 31st, 2025, and I am so happy and grateful about, and then I proceed to write the script. I am so happy and grateful with how this year went. I thought that 2024 was the year, but I have learned that it just gets better and better and better. I have learned that I can be a mum and run a business that lights my soul on fire. I have learned that I needed to trust the whole time, and trusting was what brought everything close. I needed to know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I wake up in the morning, I pull open the curtains and I wake up my baby and just sit on the couch looking into her or his eyes. I have a team meeting once a week and we go over things that are happening in the business. And then I go back to my family. I go down to the foreshore with Paul. This is literally just off the top of my head right now, right? But you're setting the scene for exactly how it's going to look. We walk down to the foreshore every morning with the stroller and I can see the sunshine ahead. We sit on the grass. We put down a blanket. The birds are around us, squawking. The seagulls are around us. We sip our coffee and we love watching all of the development of our child. And Simba is next to us. And I just have this feeling and this sensation that the better it gets, the better it gets. And all I ever needed to do was to trust. La, 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 right? So you see, I'm putting the scene in, I'm setting the scene, I'm talking about outcomes. I've got my baby, the business is thriving, la, 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 and I'm really setting the scene. Again, I'm handwriting this. So you get specific, you write it as though it's already happened, you set the scene and you focus on outcomes with specificity. Here is what not to do or common mistakes. One is typing. I think I've already done an episode on this, but typing it moves too fast for us to process. And when you slow it down, it helps us to slow down the emotion and therefore activate more emotion. And it's more likely to settle into the subconscious mind because you're getting the time to process it and you're getting emotionally activated. One of my mentors always said, when you write, you invite, and I just love it. Second mistake, other than typing, is being too vague. Being vague and that broadness or that vagueness doesn't elicit emotion. So not creating enough emotion means a few different things. One, have you actually decided on a goal that is aligned and that actually activates you, or are you playing safe? Or are you doing what you should do? Are you writing goals out of ego? Are you scripting out of what society would say is more fancy or what society would want from you? So those are the mistakes, is that you're not getting emotional. And if you're not getting emotional enough, maybe, you're just in the mood and you can come back to it. But also that can be a point of reflection for why not? What's holding me back? And you can go down a process of exploring that. But that is something else to look at. So practical tips, which I'm going to just close with, is, like I said, set the scene, make this an exciting part of your New Year's ritual. Take yourself away, carve out time, go down to the beach, pour yourself a wine. I love this process and I give myself, I remember one year, Paul was on night shift and I was like, yes, I'm going to make myself a little platter. I'm going to pour myself a wine. I'm going to write my script. And every year it's so fun to do and to look back on. right? And it's such a great process for you to see what's coming up and what blocks you have for you to work through. Because sometimes this process can bring up all of our stuff, and all of that stuff might sound like, that's never going to happen. You can't do that. Or what's the point in this? And that then shows you the gold for you to work with to navigate as you come into the next year. You've just been delivered up on a platter the obstacles in your way that now you know you have the awareness of and you can work through in 2025. So carve out the time, make a quiet place. Use the journaling prompts if you want to before you even start. What would be so exciting for 2025? What would a dream year look like? What would a dream week look like? And how would it play out if all of my dreams came true in the next year? So all of these prompts are in the show notes. If you want extra support to do this script, there is a guide as well in the show notes. But then just to reiterate, you're going to start the ritual with it is December 31st, 2025, and I am so happy and grateful now that, and then start writing. And I truly, this is one of the exercises that I always got clients to do in my past signature program, Level Up Your Life. And I still, to this day, 4 years later, get messages from clients that are like, Brianna, I just found my vision statement and holy crap, it's all happened. It's all happened. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's magic. It's actually magic. And of course, you need to then follow through with the action. But this is a process that helps you to start and to activate that action. So like I said, I got messages just last week from somebody who did Level Up and was revisiting at this time of year because of how much she was able to create by doing this process. And I've heard of people that have all sorts of things, babies, marriages, meeting their soulmates, getting the promotion, starting the business, getting their highest cash months, like everything. And it's always a scripting exercises that we started with in Level Up. By the way, I am almost certain that I'm bringing Level Up back in the early New Year's because I have had so many people asking. And so if you want to do this process, just keep your eye out on my Instagram. Keep your eye out here on the podcast and in the show notes because there will be some more information dropping. I think it's time. I think it's time to bring it out of retirement just because it's such a good program and we're going to be doing things like this. But if for now you would just like some support in doing this technique, go to the link in the description or the show notes and have a fun time doing this journaling and scripting exercise. I will see you back here next week. Have a great New Year's. Bye. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to hit like and maybe consider subscribing. This really helps to grow this podcast, and it is a massive mission of mine to get you incredible guests and to increase and up level all the production so that I can help you to create your dream life, to get the most out of yourself, the most out of the people that you serve. And so please hit subscribe now, and I will see you back here in the next video.